looked at what he had drawn, and it was a perfectly flat Kansas horizon. I was like, has he been here? Because that's exactly what it looks like out there on I-70 going to Hays, Kansas. And I asked him later, how did you get that? Have you been to Kansas? How did you get that so perfectly? And he said, oh, I look at a map. Yeah, and if you look at, we did a Batman thing a few years ago, and I loved these scenes in the police station, because if you look at the desks of the cops, Commissioner Gordon, you'd see all these little props on every desk that would tell you something about the cop or the commissioner or something like that. Everything thought out so carefully, composed beautifully, and I don't know anyone else who works that hard at getting it right.
You're a perfectionist yourself, so coming from you, that's a very high compliment.
I can turn into a hack. That's what I always say. Jose's never hacked up anything in his life. And I'll do it to make a deadline or because of a lack of interest, but I've never seen Jose drop the ball.
That's amazing. That's wonderful. The first comment that you said about how his work is, these characters are really expressive. Yeah. I think that's something, in my opinion, that is not technical. That's something that he's imbuing. Yes, and you don't have a formula for that. That's just something that you have it or you don't.
Yeah.
And I think that a lot of illustrators and comic artists are very good, but their work is very cold. And he's the opposite of that without distorting the figures or doing exaggerated gestures. So
it's just, sometimes I exaggerate too much, sometimes I don't exaggerate enough. I know it's comics, so exaggeration and playing with proportions is part of our toolbox. Jose always has just that, the figures are a little taller than they would be in real life, a little more lanky, and consistently so. Superman, if I draw Superman, he's big one time, skinny the next. I never say, Jose is perfectly consistent. For 50 years, he's maintained that. It astonishes me.
This is wonderful.
Yeah.
Well, moving on to coloring, I think that you can color your early work, Christmas Solar and stuff like that, and stuff with Marvel.
I did the very last chapter of Gremlin, so yeah.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah.
I think that's the first time I saw your color. And that already defined to me a lot of what your palette would be later on, using purples and greens, and your colors are, I love them as a colorist, way before I became a colorist. It was a big influence on me. And part of the reason why is because you had ideas about color right from the start that were different from what commercial comics look like.
Okay.
You never used color literally. You always used it not just for abstract purposes, but also to create certain themes, the subjective color in that sense, without making it obvious. And is it because you were painting before you started to do comics, or how did you pick up the colors?
No, it was because I was reading comics, and I would notice how some colorists, we had such a limited palette back in the old days, with newsprint and a limited palette. So I'll mention Jim Steranko, because he's here, and his coloring was a big influence on me, because he made me realize that you can actually, a lot of times for comic book coloring, especially back then as it was done, less is more. And limiting the palette made his color, that alone made his coloring at Marvel stand out from everyone else.
That's true.
And another thing that I think I learned from Barry Smith, when he colored like that last issue of Conan, is he used white and was able to get kind of a watercolor effect with that crude printing, just by essentially having part of the face white and using the color almost as a middle shadow. And so he could actually do some sculpting of a figure without really making the separator and the limited technology do more work than it was capable of doing. So it's like there was a whole set of skills required for that limited, that crude printing that it doesn't really apply anymore with Photoshop and limited palette, etc. So actually feel like I've forgotten some of those things that I learned in my 20s that I should be remembering and employing today.
At some point, you decided, or you were asked to work with Steve Gerber on the Swamp Thing. Man-Thing. Thank you. The sequel of the story that he did with John Buscema and Charles Johnson.
Right.
That was one of the classic issues, and it was totally like different from anything that was being written at the time. And you started to paint it, and then there was a long time that passed because the project, I guess, was put in hiatus.
No, the problem was me. I wanted to paint it because it was a monster in the swamp, mostly at night. I thought, this is before Photoshop. You know, we don't want flat color. We want some atmosphere. And I figured watercolor would be the way the most obvious way to do that. Problem is, I don't know how to do watercolor. I've never been taught how to paint. So it was years of false starts, trial and error, more error than trial. I think I did that splash page like 8 times. Finally got one that worked, sent it to Marvel. You know, is this look going to work for the graphic novel? Here's what I'd like to do. They sent it back to me, but they sent it back to me at the wrong address, so it was lost. So I had to paint it a 9th time then.
Oh my God.
So it was one of those cursed projects that we just quit. I get a few pages done, spent so much time that I had to put it aside, work on something else, and it just dragged on for years. We finally got it finished, but it took I don't know, 20 years or so to finally get those last pages done.
For those of you that haven't seen it, it's an amazing book. It's a great story. I think your art is different in the book from anything else I've seen in your show. You do much more cartooning and much more expressive kind of design. I think the fact that you're working with a full color palette gives a very different feeling to the pages, and I think it's just terrific. The only thing I feel as a fan is I wish somebody would print it large and hardcover.
That's what it was originally intended to be.
It looks like it should.
Yeah, it was started in the 80s when they did those.
Like those Sienkiewicz books, like the Electra stuff.
The larger size graphic novels,
Right.
but then they put it in a comic size book.
Yeah, which is unfortunate, but it's great. So I could go on talking to you forever, but I'd like to open the floor to any questions. If you have any questions for Kevin, please speak up. Anybody? Yes?
Is it a little different to work in the comics or do a newspaper strip like the Phantom?
I don't know. I've never done a newspaper
Oh, I
strip.
thought you had.
No.
I mixed up.
Maybe you're thinking of Graham Nowlan. He's done
Oh, yeah.
The
you're right.
Phantom. Yeah.
Sorry.
No, I've never.
You thought
As a
that?
kid, I thought I would like to do a newspaper strip. But you know, I'll confess, later on there was an opportunity or two to work. I was asked by a syndicate to do a couple of things. And when you think about doing those, especially then, you know, this has been the 90s or so, those tiny little panels, you know, doing just your average comic book page looked so much more fun than doing a newspaper strip. And it would have been a very similar thing where it was owned by the syndicate, not me, you know, working with the writer and having to you know, work with their scripts, good or bad, etc. So, no, I think the generation older than me, that was always their goal, was to get syndicated in a strip. But I'm afraid those days are probably gone.
Yeah, Prince Valiant's from
Yeah, and even Prince Valiant, you know, they had those beautiful full-page Sundays originally that were, again, crude letterpress printing, but you wouldn't believe it was that crude by the results they got. Where he had engravers who would take his, I guess you call them color roughs, even though they probably weren't rough at all, but he'd take Hal Foster's color work, they would translate that somehow into separations that could print on newsprint and were stunningly beautiful, like watercolor masterpieces. And then I remember an interview with Foster where even he said, yeah, they've lost that. You know, those guys who were such conscientious, careful engravers are all gone, and now it's people just knocking it out as fast as they can. So, and they were obviously getting smaller. Instead of being a full page, it got smaller and smaller as the strip went on. So, yeah.
Yes.
Question. Thanks again. I know you remember me. You did my Dr. Strange.
Sure.
I really
Yeah.
love it.
Thank you.
In your career, you draw, you ink, you color. Just tell a little bit more, like when your high point of career, where did you feel like you really made it as an artist, all-around artist, and what keeps you going and inspired? Because you do so many things.
No, I don't feel like I made it, and that's probably what keeps me going. It's like, versus Dr. Strange, my first job in comics was drawing a villain issue. of
Something
Dr.
that really sticks out. I didn't
Okay.
mean to cut you off. Something that really sticks out, like maybe a
That's-
proudest or something. that
Yeah,
you
that's definitely
really
the
do.
Jack B. Quick stories, which, especially, I said this over in Europe recently, that it's probably my least known, but my favorite thing. The things I'm the most proud of, because they were brilliant scripts by Alan Moore. They're just, well, let's say 8 pages. Some of them a lot of them are 6-page stories. They're very short, but they're funny, brilliant. It's Alan, so you know it's brilliant. But this in particular is a different side of Alan than you see in Watchmen and Killing Joke and stuff like that. They're humorous, satirical, kind of charming, although he's an evil little kid, so the charm is limited. I based him on my son, to get a believable likeness of a 6-year-old boy. My son was that age at the time, and I used him as my model. I kept saying, you're not Jack. Jack's, he's a bad guy. You're not Jack. This is not an example for your behavior. But those are my favorites. Because as Jose was saying, I got to do pencils, I got to do inks, I got to do lettering, and I got to do coloring. And I was working with the most brilliant little stories I could ever imagine. But they're not well known over here. In Europe, it surprised me because I said that about them being kind of obscure. They said, oh no, you're wrong. Over here, we know Jack B. Quick much better than we know your Marvel and DC work. So that thrilled me no end. But I wish they could get some attention over here because they really are lost treasures. So
I guess when they reprint them here, they put them in the anthologies with everything else.
yeah, they're kind of buried.
They need to be in their home.
They do, which they did in France. Did a nice, oversized hardcover.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
Yes, it's kind of like a rural Dennis the Menace.
Oh, yeah, if we got a minute, the story of how he ended up doing that still fascinates me because, Alan Moore obviously lives in England, the editor was in San Diego, and I live in Kansas, and the editor called me up and said, you'd like to draw this Alan Moore series called Jack B. Quick? And I said, sure. I just thought it was a superhero thing like The Flash, like Johnny Quick or something like that. I had no idea that it was set in a rural area in a vaguely nostalgic setting. And it was almost this autobiographic thing. Like I said, I used my son as the model. I used our house.
It's like Kansas, isn't
It is, yeah. I just considered it Kansas. I drew it flat, like central Kansas is. And we had just moved into this house. It's an old, 1892 Victorian home, and I used that as the model for the farmhouse. And our small farm town is, it's only 2,000 people, so that was my model for Clearwater Creek. So every building, the church, the library, everything in the story has a counterpart in our actual hometown. And I said, how did Alan Moore know that I was like the perfect guy to do this? Because I think he actually wanted Kevin McGuire to draw it. Because when he first talked about it, he said, oh yeah, he said he liked my work, especially that stuff I'd done on Justice League. I thought, I never drew Justice League. I gotta get that other guy. But then when I got the script, and it was like, I felt like it was tailor-made for me, and to be arrogant, not a whole lot of other artists. Because it was not superheroes, somebody said, well, John Severin probably could have done a really good job. I go, yeah. So it's me, John Severin, and anybody else? Because I can't think of who else could have done this. I know it sounds very arrogant. I apologize. But that's the freaky thing about doing that series. Is like, how did Alan know that I was the perfect guy for that, and vice versa?
So Scott the Beer may have
I think maybe so. Yeah.
Scott the Beer is a great editor, and he was the editor that paired up the artists of ABC Comics, Tom Strong, Promethea, Jackie Quick with Top 10, and all the artists, all of you were perfect for the stories.
Hillary Barton and Splash Brannigan, which was sort of a takeoff on Plastic Man, and yeah, they were
perfect.
Yeah, it's hard to imagine different artists drawing those different strips because they were.
It's even when you guys drew each other, like when you the cover of the characters, it was like, well, that's not his character.
Not quite. It's a bit of a stretch. Yeah, yeah.
So that's wonderful. We have time for one more question. Okay.
Yeah, segue off what you said before. What was like your experience drawing with different, collaborating with different writers versus like the Marvel method or DC method? Because actually I saw this once and it said that Alan Moore was like really frustrating to work with because he would give them an exact layout and they can never do something better than his, so they had to defer.
Yeah, you know Alan even better than I do. But he does have a reputation. I think some of it, quite a bit of it, undeserved because he didn't do an actual layout for me. I've had other artists actually do layouts, and if it works, I have no problem with that. What he would do is have very detailed descriptions of every panel, and he'd make you work really hard. I mean, Jackie Quick is my favorite thing I've done. It's also the hardest work I ever did. And to be fair, he said the same thing. He said that those old 6-page scripts were the hardest things he ever wrote in comics. And that's, again, he wrote The Killing Joke, and he wrote Watchmen, and he wrote a million things that look impossible for mere mortals to assemble. And he considers these 6-page stories the most difficult work he's done. But the descriptions were very detailed, right down to the smallest detail. But he would do it in a very polite, charming way. He described this complicated action that you have to squeeze into a little tiny panel down here, and then he'd say, and if there's room, and he'd have a second layer of action that he would suggest. I know other artists who are more than happy to just ignore that second part. I felt like, come on, it's Alan Moore he's given you this gem to not do it. Seems like you're not doing your job. So I would work really hard at getting in everything he asked for. But the other part that I thought was funny, at the end of the script, he would always say, as always, if you have a better idea, by all means.
Totally. That's the one thing that these are, I had the honor to illustrate some things by him, just a few, one chapter, Promethea. And it was just like that. And I think that when people don't understand, it's like, yes, he's giving you a ton of stuff to do, super hard to do it, but it's brilliant stuff.
Yes.
You want
to give him everything.
And then the humor. His self-deprecating humor is like, it's hilarious because it's like, he means it too.
Right.
He just saying it, to be cute. And he says so much about it.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, okay, one more, and then I think we have to get out of here.
You were mentioning before about the Man-Thing project you did that you worked on it over the course of 20 years.
On and off, yeah.
What was that like when you reached the end of that? Did you want to go back with all the growth you had as an artist and go back from page 1 and bring it up to speed?
You think you could work on something for 20 years and think, now let's start over and do everything.
Yeah. I mean, how did you stop how did you know when to stop?
When I got to when the last page was, I thought, good enough to turn it in. And it wasn't, nothing was perfect, but it was done. And I swear it was an albatross.
Sure.
I'm happy if someone likes it. A lot of people hated it because the way I kind of played with the proportions on Man-Thing. So it was certainly not my most popular thing. Some people like it. I like it or hate it, it's done. That brings me so much joy. I know a lot of artists who have these similar albatrosses that never got done, these unfinished masterpieces. I won't mention any names, but I know several people who either it just got abandoned and never published. Some were finished by other people. For better or for worse, that's 100% me and Steve. And a letter, and I actually wanted the letter, but didn't get to. Top client did the letter. But it's finished, so I have mixed emotions about it, but at least it's done.
Very good. Well, thank you everybody for coming. I hope you enjoyed it half as much as I did. I think you're going to be at the table very shortly, right? Because you have to leave.
Yeah, we have an early flight, so we'll
Okay.
get back and finish the sketch hopefully, and then be taken off.
So you have a few minutes to ask him that last question you don't want to ask in public because you don't like speaking in public. Let's thank Kevin again for this wonderful panel, and see you all later on the floor.